John had always felt a disconnect with the life he lived back in his bustling American city. Each day blurred into the next, filled with the same repetitive tasks, office politics, and a never-ending race to meet deadlines that seemed to multiply. The idea of change began to take root in his mind, sparked by years of dissatisfaction and dreams of a more meaningful existence. As he approached his late 40s, the yearning for adventure intensified, and he found himself imagining a life far removed from the cold, impersonal city streets he walked each day. He envisioned himself on sun-kissed beaches, surrounded by warm and welcoming faces, partaking in vibrant local traditions that would breathe life into his weary soul. His thoughts turned specifically to the Philippines. John had read about the country, the lush landscapes, the rich culture, the warmth of its people. The glowing testimonials from those who had made similar moves painted a picture of paradise. He dreamt of immersing himself in this new world, not just as an outsider, but as someone who could build connections and create a community that felt like home. The Philippines represented more than just a destination. It was a sanctuary from the relentless pressures of American city life. Planning this life, altering move consumed him. John spent countless evenings researching online, reading about the culture, the cost of living, and the intricacies of the language. He envisioned a bright future where every day was filled with exploration and discovery. However, as he packed his belongings into boxes, he couldn't help but feel an underlying unease. What would it truly be like to leave everything behind and start afresh in a foreign land? Would he embrace the new life he longed for? Or would he find himself haunted by doubts and regrets? In the weeks leading up to his departure, he started to think about the logistics of moving, finding a place to live, navigating immigration requirements, and making arrangements for his financial future. How different would his world look without the familiar comforts of home? The days passed rapidly as he ticked off items from his to-do list, excitement and anxiety blending seamlessly in his gut. When he finally boarded the plane, leaving behind the familiarity of his life, he felt a surge of hope mixed with a trickle of fear. Was he making the right decision? Would he thrive among strangers? Or would he feel lost and detached in a world that operated on different rhythms and customs? Thoughts lingered in his mind, swirling like the clouds outside his window. What if he struggled to adapt? What if he found that the idyllic images he held were but a fleeting mirage? As the plane descended toward the archipelago, a sense of exhilaration washed over him. John could see the sprawling coastlines, dotted with lush greenery, and he took a deep breath, anticipating the adventure that awaited him. Yet, as he stepped onto Philippine soil, the overwhelming sensation of change enveloped him. The humidity clung to his skin, and the music of a different language filled the air. Was he ready for this? At first, every interaction felt foreign and complex. The language barriers, although expected, turned everyday tasks into monumental challenges. Simple errands like ordering food or asking for directions became exercises in frustration. He stumbled through conversations, often resorting to gestures and smiles that only sometimes elicited understanding. Did he truly expect to master a new language overnight? Perhaps he realized this was a larger endeavor than he had anticipated. Additionally, the cost of living, which he had idealized as manageable, threatened to unravel his finely crafted budget. Expenses piled up more quickly than he could have foreseen. He thought he would be living in paradise, but he was running out of savings faster than he ever anticipated. Each day brought new uncertainties, feeding the gnawing frustration inside him. Did he have the resources to make this work, or was he slowly watching his dream slip away? Loneliness became his constant companion during those initial weeks. Despite the beauty around him, he felt isolated in a sea of unfamiliar faces and customs. The friends he had back home felt a world apart. Would he ever forge new connections, or would he remain a foreigner in this vibrant landscape? The bustling environment, so full of life, left him feeling emptier than ever. Was seeking change truly worth this sense of solitude? As the days turned into weeks, John found himself at a crossroads. He could continue to wallow in the difficulty of these challenges, or adapt and seize the opportunity for growth. Reflecting on the unforeseen hurdles he faced, a question lingered. How much was he willing to invest in this dream? The answer would define the path he would take moving forward. Was he ready to embrace the chaos and uncertainty, or would he retreat back to the familiarity of his past? He realized that if he wanted to survive and truly thrive in this unfamiliar terrain, he needed to rethink his approach. The path he envisioned required resilience and adaptability. With this newfound perspective stirring within him, John pondered not only how to navigate the challenges ahead, but how to truly immerse himself in the rich tapestry of Filipino life. In the heart of his uncertainty, while strolling through the vibrant streets of Cebu City, John felt a flicker of hope when he stumbled upon a local cafe that exuded warmth and charm. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and conversation that filled the space. At that moment, he realized that this could be a gateway to building connections. Perhaps, he thought, it was here that he might cultivate friendships and learn more about his new home. As he entered, the friendly barista greeted him with a genuine smile, and John felt a small sense of relief wash over him. A simple conversation about coffee, he realized, was a small step toward breaking down the barrier between him and the culture surrounding him. As he took his first sip of the local brew, he marveled at how something as simple as a cup of coffee could bridge so much. Could this be the beginning of a more significant transformation? The cafe quickly became a regular haunt for John. He discovered that it was a hub for expatriates and locals alike, a melting pot of people from various backgrounds who gathered to share stories, laughter, and ideas. Over time, John struck up conversations with others, each exchange a step toward reducing his isolation. He met Lily, a young Filipino artist with a passion for painting, who encouraged him to join a community art class. The thought scared him. He had never considered himself an artist, but there was something tantalizing about the idea of being creative and expressing himself. Taking a leap of faith, John enrolled in that art class. Surrounded by laughter and playful banter, he found not only support but also inspiration. As he picked up a paintbrush for the first time, it became an outlet for his emotions and avenue to convey the sense of wonder and confusion that accompanied him in this journey. Creating art became a therapy of sorts, allowing him to explore his feelings while also connecting with others in the class. It was a vivid reminder of the beauty of shared experiences. During these sessions, he also developed a close friendship with a fellow expat named Jack, who had moved to the Philippines years before. Jack became a mentor of sorts, sharing not only the ups and downs of life in a foreign country, but also practical tips for navigating the challenges John faced. Their late-night discussions over cold beers revealed the underlying truths about expatriate life. The joys of exploration were often interspersed with feelings of loneliness and longing. It became clear to John that he wasn't alone in his struggles. Many others faced the same hurdles. Through his newfound connections, John began to learn more about Filipino culture. Jack introduced him to local cuisines, and as they shared meals, John became entranced by the flavors that awakened his palate. Additionally, Lily invited him to local festivals, where he experienced firsthand the excitement and energy of traditional dances, music, and communal celebrations. The sense of belonging he craved slowly started to blossom within him. Would he ever feel fully at home here? He hoped so. However, as joyous as these moments were, John still grappled with the lingering shadows of self-doubt. Was he making any real progress? Each time he faced an obstacle, the temptations of retreating to his old life resurfaced. He often caught himself wondering whether he was truly capable of building a life in this foreign land. Did he have what it took to adapt and thrive, or had he merely been deluding himself in his quest for happiness? One afternoon, while sketching in the cafe, the barista, whom John had come to know, approached him. She had noticed his artwork and asked if he would consider displaying some pieces during an upcoming art showcase at the cafe. The word struck him with surprising weight. Could this be a turning point for him? The idea of sharing his art with the community both excited and terrified him. What if no one liked it? That evening, he pondered the implications of her suggestion. Displaying his work would mean stepping outside of himself, exposing his creativity to the world, and taking a risk. But didn't he move to the Philippines in search of new experiences? Wasn't embracing fear a part of that journey? After sleepless hours of deliberation, he decided to focus on what he had learned thus far: the beauty of connection, the importance of vulnerability, and the potential for growth that lay in uncertainty. When the showcase night arrived, John felt a whirlwind of emotions. As he stood next to his artwork, surrounded by familiar faces from his classes and cafe visits, he realized how far he had come. The community he had nurtured was alive and thriving around him. It was no longer just a dream of paradise. It had become an intricate part of his reality. When people complimented his pieces and engaged him in conversation about his journey, a sense of achievement settled within him. By the end of the evening, John recognized a profound truth. His life in the Philippines was evolving, and he was learning to embrace it fully. The initial fears and doubts that had threatened to consume him gradually transformed into empowerment. He was not just an outsider anymore. He was becoming woven into the fabric of this vibrant culture, one brushstroke, one friendship at a time. Yet, as he walked home that night reflecting on the strides he had made, John understood that this was only the beginning. He still had much to learn about himself and this new world. The journey would not be linear, and each step forward could just as easily lead him to setbacks. But that night, for the first time, he felt the stirrings of belonging in his heart, a feeling that life, with all its imperfections, was worth the embrace. What was next for him, he wondered. The possibilities felt endless, and he was ready to greet them with open arms. As the weeks turned into months, John found himself diving deeper into the lifestyle he had once only dreamt about. The art showcase was just the beginning. It opened doors to new opportunities and connections that he could never have anticipated. His confidence blossomed alongside his growing familiarity with Filipino culture. Yet, as with any journey of transformation, it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were challenges and obstacles lurking around every corner, and John needed to navigate them with patience and resilience. During a visit to a local market, he met Elena, an enthusiastic entrepreneur selling handmade crafts. Elena's vibrant personality was contagious, and her passion for her work drew John in. They struck up a conversation, and he learned about her struggles in building her business from the ground up. Her story resonated with him. He saw reflections of his own journey etched in her words. Inspired by her determination, John volunteered to help her with marketing, something he had experience with from his life back in America. He realized that sharing his skills could also help him further settle into the community. Working with Elena brought new vibrancy to John's life. The smell of fresh flowers and spices wafted through the air as they collaborated on her marketing materials. This was more than just about helping a new friend. It was about being part of something bigger, a shared ambition that connected them. He designed flyers that highlighted her unique crafts, and together they organized a small event to showcase her work. Helping her business flourish became a mission of his own. In the process, John began to learn about entrepreneurial spirit in the Philippines. He discovered how deeply rooted community support was in the local culture. People rallied around their neighbors, eager to lend a hand when someone took a leap of faith. This collective mentality intrigued him and inspired him to reflect on his own offerings. In what ways could he contribute not just to Elena's success, but to the broader fabric of his community? However, the pressures of entrepreneurship also revealed themselves. As their event approached, John began to feel the weight of uncertainty creeping back in. What if no one showed up? What if his efforts fell flat? These nagging thoughts reminded him of his early days in the Philippines, when doubt clung to him like a wet blanket. Would he be able to face yet another potential disappointment head-on? But it was during one of his late-night painting sessions that he found clarity. He poured his emotions onto the canvas, finding solace in the strokes of his brush. Art had been a refuge for him, allowing him to confront his fears creatively. He realized then that his journey was inherently tied to risk every brushstroke, every marketing flyer, every friendship was an act of vulnerability. Embracing uncertainty, rather than shying away from it, was what he had come to learn. The day of the showcase arrived, and John's heart raced with apprehension. He could feel the energy in the air, a mix of excitement and nervousness. As people began to gather, he could sense both the thrill of anticipation and the creeping dread of failure lingering just beneath the surface. Would they appreciate what Elena had to offer? Would they connect with the essence of her craft? As guests trickled in, his fears began to dissipate. The atmosphere was alive with laughter and chatter, a symphony of voices blending into one harmonious sound. He watched as people admired Elena's crafts, feeling a swell of pride for her work and the effort they had put in together. As the night unfolded, the event surpassed their expectations. The room was filled with people who engaged with Elena not just as a vendor, but as a storyteller with a passion. Her creations resonated with the community, each piece telling a story that was intertwined with the culture and traditions of the Philippines. In those moments, John felt an overwhelming wave of gratitude wash over him, a powerful recognition of how much he had grown and how integrated he had become in this vibrant tapestry of life. Through hard work and shared dreams, he had carved a niche for himself, a place where he no longer felt like an outsider, but rather a valued participant in a blooming community. Yet, as the night drew to a close, an unexpected challenge arose. Elena approached him with a serious expression, revealing her fears about sustaining the momentum they had built. What if the demand for her crafts dwindled? What if she couldn't keep up with the logistics? To reassure her, John reminded her of the energy they had cultivated together. They had ignited something special, and the support of the community would carry her forward. But Elena's anxieties struck a chord within John. He remembered his own fears when he first arrived, the sense that everything he garnered could be taken away in an instant. That thought lingered in his mind, haunting him as he grappled with his own insecurities. It led him to wonder about permanence. Could he truly build a life here? Would these bonds last, or would they fade with time, returning him to that feeling of loneliness he had once endured? After much deliberation, John realized that permanence was an illusion. Life was unpredictable, ever-changing, and the only certainty was the present moment. This revelation shifted his perspective dramatically. Instead of fearing the inevitable changes that lay ahead, he decided to embrace them, to live fully in the now, and to sincerely engage with those around him. What mattered was the quality of connections he forged and the impact he could make, even if it meant being vulnerable again. With renewed purpose, he turned his focus back to Elena during their planning sessions. Together, they brainstormed ways to continue engaging with the community, nurturing open dialogues and feedback. They considered hosting workshops to teach people how to create their crafts and share stories, forming connections that would last beyond any single event. In doing so, they could contribute to a thriving ecosystem of support among local artisans and fellow dreamers. This newfound approach filled him with hope. As John cast aside his fears and focused on resilience, he began to see the Philippines not just as a backdrop for his life, but as a part of his fabric, vibrant and textured with experiences. He had begun to understand that the journey he was on would be a continuous evolution, one filled with uncertainties, but also with opportunities to connect, create, and contribute. As he lay in bed that night, pondering the intoxicating possibilities in front of him, John felt a sense of peace. Life was unpredictable, yet he had the power to embrace it. He realized that each challenge was an invitation for growth, and that building a life where he felt at home was not just a solitary quest, it was a shared experience that could enrich not only his own existence, but also the lives of those around him. With each new day in the Philippines, John continued to forge deeper connections and expand his understanding of the world around him. The workshops with Elena were a tremendous hit, drawing in enthusiasts eager to learn and share their own crafts. As they sculpted clay and wove threads, John witnessed firsthand the sense of community that blossomed from creativity. People shared laughter, stories, and encouragement, and he felt the walls of isolation he once battled slowly crumbling away. However, amid the joy of collaboration, John also faced the reality that not every day would be filled with warmth and laughter. One afternoon, he received a call that shook his world. His mother had been diagnosed with a serious illness. The distance between them felt vast and insurmountable, enveloping him in a wave of helplessness. The news was a gut punch, a stark reminder of the life and family he had momentarily left behind. John spent the next few days in a fog of worry and introspection, torn between the responsibilities he felt toward his family and the new life he was carving out for himself. Could he abandon this path he had worked so hard to build? What if returning home meant losing the connections he had painstakingly established in the Philippines? These thoughts churned inside him, leaving him restless and anxious. Seeking solace, John returned to his paintbrushes. Immersed in his art, he poured his feelings onto the canvas, trying to find catharsis through color and form. Art had always been a sanctuary for him, a realm where he could express his pain and confusion. As he painted, he contemplated what family truly meant to him, allowing his thoughts to flow freely. Was it about proximity, or was it the bonds of love and support that truly mattered? Through this reflective process, he came to recognize the unique balancing act he was navigating. Living abroad had shifted his perspective, revealing the complexities of love and connection, not just among physical proximity, but also through emotional ties. He realized he could still be present for his family while pursuing his journey in the Philippines. Love could transcend borders, and he could offer support without being physically present. In the days that followed, he decided to book a flight home for a brief visit. Although torn about leaving his new life, he understood that family came first, especially in difficult times. The thought of being by his mother's side, connecting with her through their shared experiences, was both comforting and necessary. He reached out to his community in Cebu, sharing the news and asking for support during his absence, a testament to the relationships he had cultivated. When he arrived back in his hometown, he was met with the familiar sights and sounds that had once defined his existence. Walking the streets brought back memories, both cherished and painful. The reunion with his mother was emotional. She welcomed him with open arms, grateful to see him. As they spent time together, John realized how much had changed within him during his time away. While the bond with his mother remained strong, he was now viewing life through a lens shaped by experiences outside the narrow confines of what he had once known. Instead of feeling burdened by responsibilities, he found clarity. Conversations with his mother became deeper, filled with laughter and candid discussions about dreams, regrets, and hopes for the future. They shared stories of their lives, each learning from the other's journey. It was healing in a way he hadn't expected. John recognized that he could draw strength from this experience. His mother's resilience inspired him, further fueling the fire he had lit within himself through his creative endeavors in the Philippines. After a few days, as he prepared to fly back to Cebu, John felt a bittersweet pang in his chest. The departure reminded him of the duality of life where joy and sorrow often inhabit the same space. As the plane ascended, he took a moment to relish the memories they'd shared and the lessons learned. It was essential for him to embrace both worlds, fearing neither the past nor the future. Once back in Cebu, the warmth of the sun washed over him, filling him with a sense of reinvigoration. He dove back into his life with a fresh perspective, determined to expand on the connections he'd cultivated and to share the lessons he had gained from his time at home. The emotional weight he carried served as a reminder of the fragility of life, pushing him to appreciate the transient beauty of the relationships he was building. He resumed his work with Elena, but now there was a newfound depth to their collaboration. They began implementing community outreach programs, inviting local families and children to partake in creative sessions. John wanted to express how healing-like the moments he had shared with his mother could come through connection and creativity. Each workshop became an opportunity to weave stories and foster understanding among participants. John also became more intentional about exploring the rich landscape around him. He ventured to nearby natural wonder-slush mountains, cascading waterfalls, and pristine beaches that called to him like sirens beckoning a lost sailor. Each exploration was invigorating, reminding him of nature's beauty and its capacity to heal broken hearts. He often returned from these trips with fresh inspirations for his art, capturing the essence of his surroundings on canvas. Yet, in quiet moments, he often found himself reflecting on balance. Could he maintain the equilibrium between his past and present? The answer lay in acceptance. The journey wouldn't be devoid of challenges. Life's complexities would persist. But through this acceptance, John began to cultivate an inner strength that he could draw upon during turbulent times. Acknowledge the feelings, he realized, but never allow them to dictate his path. As he stood at the edge of a stunning sunset over the ocean, watching the waves crash against the shore, he felt a surge of gratitude. The warm hues of the horizon mirrored the multitude of experiences he had gathered, the struggles, the connections, and the love he shared with those close to him. They intertwined, shaping him into who he had become. This life was no longer solely about escaping his past. It was about weaving the strands of his experiences into a vibrant tapestry of moments that echo through time. What would tomorrow bring? He wondered. With each dawn, he felt the world opening up before him, ready to embrace the uncertainties and joys that life had in store. It was more than a new beginning. It was a continuous journey of evolving relationships, personal growth, and an unwavering journey toward finding home, wherever that might lead him next. As the new year unfolded, John's life in the Philippines felt more vibrant than ever. The community outreach programs had blossomed, with families coming together to create and share experiences through art. In the afternoons, the lively chatter of children filled the air as they crafted, painted, and laughed. John felt an extraordinary sense of fulfillment watching these young faces light up with creativity. It was a gentle reminder of the boundless possibilities that art could ignite. Encouraged by the success of their initiatives, John and Elena began to collaborate on an ambitious project. A community art festival that would highlight not just their crafts, but also showcase the diverse talents of local artists. They envisioned a day filled with music, dance, and interactive workshops that would engage the entire community, one that would celebrate the richness of Filipino culture and the beauty of collaboration. With a shared vision, they started planning the logistics, casting a wide net to involve local artists, musicians, and vendors. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of preparation. They organized meetings, rallied support, and even sought sponsorships from local businesses. John found himself rejuvenated by this sense of purpose, a stark contrast to the confusion and helplessness he had felt just a few months prior. For every challenge that arose, he discovered an opportunity to connect with others. The greater involvement of the community deepened his understanding of what it meant to be part of something larger than himself. Intrigued, John approached her, asking about her art. The girl's eyes lit up, and she eagerly shared her creation's delightful interpretations of the seaside and the vibrant local scene. Her name was Mia, and she quickly opened up about her dream of becoming an artist. John, feeling a familiar spark of inspiration, offered to mentor her, just as others had stepped up for him. They began meeting regularly at the cafe, and John found joy in nurturing Mia's talent. It reminded him of his first days in Cebu when he had been unsure of his own artistic abilities. Mia's creativity reignited John's passion for art and community. Their sessions became a beautiful exchange, taught him to see the world through a child's eyes, full of wonder and simplicity, while he imparted the essentials of technique and expression. In mentoring her, he felt a renewed sense of purpose, which made him realize he had much to contribute beyond his own journey. Every stroke of paint and every shared moment became a testament to the growth he had experienced over the past year. John began to ponder what it truly meant to give back to the community that had embraced him. The act of supporting Mia opened the door to a new realization helping others would weave him further into the rich tapestry of the place he now called home. As the season shifted, John's heart felt light. He had nurtured relationships that found strength in vulnerability and had cultivated a spirit of resilience that transcended personal struggles. With every connection forged, he learned that life was a continuous dance, a blend of uncertainty, joy, and the celebration of community. His heart swelled with hope, optimistic for the future yet grounded in the present. Now, more than ever, he understood that it was his responsibility to foster kindness in the lives of others, allowing him to create ripples of change. The world around him was full of stories, waiting to be told stories that could contribute to a greater understanding of the human experience. John stood on the cusp of a new chapter, ready to embrace whatever awaited him. Life in the Philippines had taught him that true belonging comes not from merely existing within a space, but from actively contributing to it. He took a deep breath of the salty air, feeling thankful for everything that had brought him to this moment. As he finished his painting, he gazed out toward the horizon, anticipating the dawn of new experiences and the continuation of his journey. Life, he realized, was an intricate canvas, where each day offered a blank slate, ripe with possibilities and connections just waiting to unfold. Intrigued, John approached her, asking about her art. The girl's eyes lit up, and she eagerly shared her creation's delightful interpretations of the seaside and the vibrant local scene. Her name was Mia, and she quickly opened up about her dream of becoming an artist. John, feeling a familiar spark of inspiration, offered to mentor her, just as others had stepped up for him. They began meeting regularly at the cafe, and John found joy in nurturing Mia's talent. It reminded him of his first days in Cebu when he had been unsure of his own artistic abilities. Mia's creativity reignited John's passion for art and community. Their sessions became a beautiful exchange, taught him to see the world through a child's eyes, full of wonder and simplicity, while he imparted the essentials of technique and expression. In mentoring her, he felt a renewed sense of purpose, which made him realize he had much to contribute beyond his own journey. Every stroke of paint and every shared moment became a testament to the growth he had experienced over the past year. John began to ponder what it truly meant to give back to the community that had embraced him. The act of supporting Mia opened the door to a new realization helping others would weave him further into the rich tapestry of the place he now called home. As the season shifted, John's heart felt light. He had nurtured relationships that found strength in vulnerability and had cultivated a spirit of resilience that transcended personal struggles. With every connection forged, he learned that life was a continuous dance, a blend of uncertainty, joy, and the celebration of community. His heart swelled with hope, optimistic for the future yet grounded in the present. Now, more than ever, he understood that it was his responsibility to foster kindness in the lives of others, allowing him to create ripples of change. The world around him was full of stories, waiting to be told stories that could contribute to a greater understanding of the human experience. John stood on the cusp of a new chapter, ready to embrace whatever awaited him. Life in the Philippines had taught him that true belonging comes not from merely existing within a space, but from actively contributing to it. He took a deep breath of the salty air, feeling thankful for everything that had brought him to this moment. As he finished his painting, he gazed out toward the horizon, anticipating the dawn of new experiences and the continuation of his journey. Life, he realized, was an intricate canvas, where each day offered a blank slate, ripe with possibilities and connections just waiting to unfold.